Hey YouTube, and welcome to another round of Pwn the Creationist. Well, I don't really like to consider it pwnage because I don't really pwn people, per se. I only point out the facts that they seem to miss, or they seem to neglect, and I point out the flaws in their video which I'd like to correct. Now, sometimes I can get a little carried away and get a little too pissed off, like I did with Wisdom Life Knowledge, I believe his name was. And yeah, that's because he really tested my patience. And I don't have a problem with people not knowing. I have a problem with people not knowing, willfully ignorant of that, and then going up on YouTube and preaching. Yeah, then I have a problem. But anyways, so with that in mind, the next creationist on my list is MysticalForest. How come you've escaped my radar for the longest time? Well, better late than never. Without further ado, here we go.
It's just not logical. We have too much life. Statistically, we shouldn't be here. The Earth shouldn't be here. We have everything we need to survive. Every creature on this Earth has every resource it needs to survive, and it's just amazing. We have cells in our body that do amazing things. For whatever reason, they just do them. The cell. If you look at the cell, it's amazing how complex the cell is.
Ah, the irreducible complexity argument, otherwise known as the argument from ignorance. You know what you're saying, man? What you're saying is, oh, look at the world around us, it's so wonderful. Look at the cell, it's so complex. I don't understand how it got there and how it is like that, so I'll just assume that a creator made it all. The problem with that is that you can't prove it, first of all, and second of all, that it doesn't really get you anywhere. So what if a creator made it all? What does that prove? It doesn't go anywhere. It's just an intellectual dead end.
I think that you're missing one book out of all the books that you have read, and that would be the Bible. In Genesis, it tells you how God created the earth. It tells you everything you need to know.
Genesis tells me everything I need to know? Hardly. All it says is, God created the earth in 6 days. Doesn't say how, doesn't say why, doesn't explain how. Yeah, it just magically happened. He just waved his hands around, and that's supposed to be a good explanation for you?
It's supernatural, obviously, because if you explain it through evolution, it doesn't make sense. When God created the earth and everything, He didn't do it through a natural process. We had grass growing and everything else before He even made the sun. Through evolution, that wouldn't make any sense. In a natural world, that wouldn't make sense. When God created the earth and the universe, He did it supernaturally. He didn't do it through a Big Bang. He didn't do it through a physical process, or an evolutionary process. He didn't do it through that method, because God don't have to do it through that method. That makes no sense to me. If God created the universe, if He has the ability to make something out of thin air, why would He use the method of evolution to create the earth and create everything? He wouldn't have to do that. So if there is a God, it's not logical that He would use that method to for creation. He wouldn't use the method of evolution for creation. And if you look at the Bible, and the Bible is truth, it says it right in the Bible.
Okay, let me get this point straight. You're saying that God created the world through supernatural means, which means outside of what science could possibly understand, observe, or comprehend and quantify. Then let me ask you this. How can you prove that God did it? You can't, can you? You can't prove that it was a creator that created these things because there's no way to prove something supernatural without solid evidence. And I'm sorry, but you don't have solid evidence to prove that. And not only that, but how can you prove that it's your God that created these things, and not Allah, and not Thor, and not Votan, and not any other deity that has existed throughout history? The problem I have with the 6-day creation theory is that it contradicts everything science has already discovered. You say that, well, if the Bible is true, then everything is there in the everything is there, and it shows us how the world and the universe came to be. But is the Bible true? I have to ask. And as another thing, well, I've already pointed out the flaw in your logic. If God created the earth through supernatural means, then there's no way you could prove it. But also, I have to ask you this question. If God really did create the earth and the universe in 6 days, then why did he leave so much evidence for us to pick up that seems to contradict this fact?
Is you're saying some parts of the Bible are truth and some are debatable. And when you get into that debate where some of them are debatable and some of them could be wrong, then people that are weak Christians that don't have a strong faith, they don't last as a Christian very long. Now, if you start leaving it open to, well, this could be right, this could be wrong, you're going to lose a lot of Christians that way.
Good. Well, not good that I want to steer Christians away from their faith. It's good that we atheists are bothering to try and point out the truth to you people who refuse to accept it and refuse to see it. And the truth in this case being, as you pointed out, the various contradictions in the Bible. And yes, there are plenty of them.
You even said it yourself. You know, you can only go so far with science. Okay? Science is not all-knowing. You're not all-knowing. Everything you know could be completely wrong. You know, everything you know, this could be all an illusion. We could all be in a room right now, hooked up to monitors, and be alive and be in heaven right now.
And you know what? You're absolutely 100% correct in this instance. Science is definitely not all-knowing, and science never claims to be. Science could always be wrong. But then I can reverse engineer your argument and use it against you, and say, well, what if you're wrong? What if things you believe in aren't true? What if the God you believe in, the Bible that you put so much stock in, is completely incorrect? Why would you be so confident in the Bible and in God and in Jesus and not in science and not in any other religion? Are you applying the same standards to all sets of beliefs? If you're going to ask me why I put my stock in science and not in religion, and not in your religion specifically, it's because science is completely unbiased, for one thing, or at least it strives to be. Science is only concerned with the facts, and there is no gain or loss if you believe in science or not. So science is the most unbiased set of beliefs out there, and that's why I put my stock in science.
You know, maybe people need to go through more pain in life. Maybe they need to be poor. Maybe they need to go through the things, because people think that when life is hard, it's a bad thing. And the truth is that that's not bad at all. Life being hard is a good thing because you become closer to God. When your life is harder, you depend on God more, and you have humility. You know, you understand that you're not that great. You understand your place in this world. You don't think you're this great being or something, or you're better than everyone, or more intelligent than everybody. You don't look at things that way. You know, some of the hardest times of my life have been the best because I was close to God. You know, and I felt like I was really close to God in those times. You look at people that have been through really bad situations, they feel so close to God when they have that experience because they're near death. You know, all this other simple stuff, football, sports, video games, things that we love to do, those things don't matter anymore. Those things are useless. Okay, all this stuff is just useless. It doesn't mean anything anymore. And then you start looking at the things that are more important in life, things that you don't really look at because you've been stripped away of all the essentials. You've been stripped away of all the things that distract you in life. And now you're just sitting right in front of what is truth in life, what is really important in life.
So what you're saying is, people who don't have a strong enough faith in God, and people who turn away from God, clearly don't have enough pain in their lives, and not enough suffering, because suffering brings us closer to God. And, okay, if that's what you believe, then I have a challenge for you. I dare you to go to the nearest homeless shelter, separate the Christians from the non-Christians, and tell every non-Christian there the only reason why they don't believe in God is because they're clearly not poor enough. Go to the nearest hospital and go to a ward where people are dying, like maybe go to the sick children's ward, and separate again the Christians from the non-Christian children, and tell those non-Christian children that the only reason why they don't believe in God is because they haven't gone through enough suffering. I don't think so.
You know, that's not what makes us great. It's not, and evolution is just, it's not a proof. Evolution is not a truth. It's not proof. It's just a theory that someone came up with. And, you know, there's no proof for it. And it just doesn't make sense. I mean, logically, it don't make sense at all. It really doesn't. I mean, the fact that we're here doesn't make sense. Why are we here? to eat everything? I mean, that makes no sense, but we're here. You should understand why we're here, because God loves us. And God made the earth and the universe supernaturally. It wasn't a physical process. Okay? So, I'll see you guys later. You guys have a good one.
Congratulations, Mystical Forest. You've officially drunk the Kool-Aid of creationist stupidity. No proof for evolution. Really now. Off the top of my head. Genetics, homologous traits, fossil record, observed speciation. Just to name a few. Okay, and I didn't address this earlier, and maybe I should have, but when you talk about being humble and having some humility, I can only offer my opinion. But I know of nothing more arrogant than to say this world was created just for you, that you are God's special little pets, that God is always watching over you, and He will reward only you who believe in Him. That is pretty arrogant, I find, because what do we atheists know? What do we believe? We believe that maybe we're not so significant after all, that no one is out there to help us, that we help ourselves, and that maybe we're alone. Maybe we aren't so special. We weren't created. We evolved that way through a period of time. You know, atheism, at least in my opinion, and I have backed it up just now, is the position of cosmic humility. Of course, you could feel free to refute that, but that's your own prerogative. So, Mystical Forest, I recommend you look into evolution a little more before saying, well, I don't understand it, and look at all the complex things in this world, clearly a creator did it. Because if you don't even understand evolution and yet you're saying you don't believe it, then that's kind of an asshole move. Just saying. Thanks for watching, and may the truth always be heard. Bye-bye.